For some people, the outdoors is a hobby. For others, it's a lifestyle. Torque wheels are built for the ones who chase sunrise on the water, track game through the timber, and spend weekends towing boats, campers, and ATVs to the next adventure. With a full lineup of wheel sizes and fitments for trucks, SUVs, vans, trailers, and RVs, Torque wheels are made to match your lifestyle and your rig. Wherever you go, whatever you haul, visit torquewheels.com to find a retailer near you.
Planning a fishing trip shouldn't feel like a full-time job. With fishingbooker.com, you can find and book the perfect fishing trip within minutes. Fishingbooker.com connects you with trusted fishing captains around the world. Booking is fast, easy, and secure, with access to verified customer reviews, loyalty rewards, and around-the-clock customer support. Everything you need to book with confidence is in one place. So head to fishingbooker.com and start planning your next fishing adventure today.
When the hunt matters, trust the gear that's built to perform. At Scree Gear, we design premium hunting apparel that keeps you comfortable, concealed, and ready for whatever the mountain throws your way. From early season spot and stalk hunts to late season extremes, Scree Gear is trusted by hunters who refuse to compromise. And if you want to sharpen your skills and follow real hunting adventures, watch Scree TV on Waypoint TV. Visit ScreeGear.com to gear up today. Then catch Scree TV on Waypoint TV and experience the hunt like never before.
He's right there. The bull's right there. And we're like 70 yards from this bull. And the wind's in our face. And it's like, okay, and now what do we do? We're both like Army guys. So we set up a little plan. He goes to the left. I go to the right. And we're converging on this bull. And literally low crawling in these shrubs that are getting smaller and smaller and smaller until they run out. And I'm like 50 yards away from this, and I'm looking over and I can see him crawling over there, and he's probably like 60 yards from it. And I'm like, all right, someone's gonna get a good shot. This bull's probably gonna stand up. Time to get ready. And as I was getting ready, guess what happens? Of course, the wind shifts, right? Oh. And that bull stands up, and I'm like, he's like injured, and he's like the backside of this island is like six or 8 feet. And that's the river that's flowing a lot harder on the other side. And I'm like, oh, he's dead right. So I just stand up and I get ready with my bow. And he just he looks at me, looks at my buddy, turns around, and he literally jumps off this island into that river and swims across it.
Howdy, folks. Welcome to the Hunting Stories Podcast. I hope you're having a good day. I'm your host, Michael. And we got a good one for you today. Today we're connecting with Don. He's the founder, owner, chef, CEO of Backcountry Bistro. He has some great stories for us today that connect to how he started his business. I hope you guys enjoy this episode. Let's just kick this thing off. But please, when you're all said and done here, go check out Backcountry Bistro. Give them a follow. Check out some of their stuff. If you're hunting backcountry this year, make sure you get some of their freeze-dried meals and don't put some crap in your belly. So let's kick things off and let Don tell you some of his stories. Thank you. All right, Don. Welcome to the Hunting Stories Podcast, brother. How are you, man?
I'm good. Thanks, Michael. How are you?
I'm doing well, man. I'm doing well. I'm glad we were able to connect. We were introduced by our mutual friend Mark, who was like, "Man, you got to get this guy on." And man, it was like 3 days, and all of a sudden, here we are recording. So I love it when things come together that quick. So, man, I appreciate you being here. But let's do this. Why don't you introduce yourself so the folks know who they're hearing some stories from today?
Sure. Well, first off, thanks for having me on the show, and yeah, making it happen pretty quick. The theme of the last 2 weeks, I've gone from the North Slope of Alaska caribou hunting back to Washington to fish for salmon and going out on a tuna charter, and at the same time trying to get some product out the door. I'm the founder of Backcountry Bistro. We're one of the newer freeze-dry meal companies out there. Started selling some meals to select few beta testers less than 2 years ago. Okay. Feedback was pretty good, and started snowballing pretty quickly. And at the same time, my wife is active duty in the Army. I'm a vet myself, so we move around. So we just went through a move back in May. Okay. Just as the business is kind of, on the up and up. So I had done a pre-order model earlier this year and actually sold out. So I was able to get my meals out ahead of our move because I wasn't sure how quickly I'd be able to restart production. We moved to Washington, hit the ground running, and I just did a my latest inventory drop. It was the second one of the year, and mostly sold out. I only have 2 menus in stock, but I'm working on scaling the business, and I'm in talks with the right people. And
That's
hopefully
awesome,
2027 is a breakout year for Backcountry Bistro.
That's awesome. What did you call them, menu items or
Yeah, menu items. So I have chorizo, egg and cheese is a breakfast scramble, and Backcountry Burrito Bowl, which is a dinner menu.
Awesome. Dude, I love it. I love people that just like, I got an idea, I'm going to run with it, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh, man, I'm just trying to keep up. Like that is, I love it when things go that well for people, especially in the hunting industry. It's a really cool thing to see. So, I want to ask you all sorts of questions, but I know that you've already kind of prepped me that like you have a story that tells how you got into making these meals. So let's just dive straight into it, man, because otherwise I'm going to ask questions and ruin that story before we even get to it. So yeah, why don't you set the stage?
Alrighty. Well, like I said, I haven't listened yet. I will go back, but this is hunting stories and campfire speak. So I'm going to talk about one of my favorite hunts and what actually started this business. Although at the time was not in the cards, not planned. 3 years ago, I went on a caribou hunt.
Okay.
And
was it your first caribou hunt?
It was not my first caribou hunt. So backing up a few more years, I actually got stationed while in Fairbanks, Alaska, while in the Army from 2017 to 2020. Part of my tenure there, we did deploy to Iraq, so we were fairly busy. I didn't get to hunt as much as I could up there, but I fell in love with Alaska. And I'm originally from Texas, so pretty big 180 from Texas roots.
What part of Texas?
Galveston, down in the Gulf of America now. Right?
There you go, man. A question I always ask, but I was like so excited to hear the origin story is, how long have you been hunting? Your whole life? Assuming you're Texan,
Nope.
Probably. No? Okay.
No.
Well, tell me that story.
This is probably, I'm going on year 11, I'd say.
Probably the exact same time frame as me, man. Like that's exactly right.
Well, it was something I always wanted to get into. I think it was just in my blood, and when I came back from my first deployment to Afghanistan in 2014, I was fortunate to meet a couple friends. One friend in particular down in Texas. He was a big bow hunter, so he helped me pick out a used bow and got me to an archery shop and got me set up. And I got my hunting permit on base. I was stationed at Fort Hood, and I ended up taking my first deer, just a young doe, but taking my first deer with a bow, and that kind of started the archery obsession. And I believe that was 2015. I also simultaneously got into duck hunting, and which, if you know duck hunters, that I got pretty serious there. But the Army, started moving me all over the place, so I was able to start experiencing hunts everywhere. But I only had about 3 years everywhere I went, which is pretty difficult especially when you're trying to figure out new hunting grounds and new species. And obligations for the military. So, but Alaska is where I discovered freeze-dried meals, because the MREs up there, when we were in the field and training, it's way too cold that the traditional MREs would just freeze. So Mountain House actually has the contract for kind of the main portion of the meals, and that's what we had. We just boiled water, threw it in there, and it tasted much better than our traditional MREs. So that's what started, I guess, my understanding of what a freeze-dried meal was during my tenure in Alaska. Well, my wife and I, we met there in service and got married there, so we fell in love with Alaska. We want to go back. We still are. In a couple of years, we're moving back. So we changed. We changed our residency to Alaska. Then we moved. A deployment. Then we were in Virginia. Then we were in Kentucky. But I got out a couple of years ago. So. Fast forward to 2023. I actually have planned a real hunt. Going back to Alaska. I'm out of the Army this time. I've got time. I've got 3 weeks. It's my first official backcountry hunt, and part of that planning was my meal plan, because we were doing a DIY hunt on the north slope of Alaska, north of the Brooks Range. If you're familiar with that hunt, the pipeline runs the Dalton Highway. There's a 5-mile archery corridor on either side of the highway. It's a popular hunt for non-residents. because it's over-the-counter tags, not a draw.
Okay.
You can get up there fairly easily, and as long as you're willing to walk on the tundra and the caribou are there, you could make a play, and it could become a fun hunt, but it's a challenging hunt with a bow. If you want to use a rifle, you have to go outside that corridor, which means walking quite a ways in the tundra, which really sucks ass. It's terrible.
Tundra is not flat. It sounds flat, but people who've ever been in it, it's pretty miserable. And
so the only other way to get out of that corridor, like really into some caribou, is you fly in, which may 2 to 3 year wait list for a plane with really.
Oh, really? I had no idea.
Yeah, it's there's limited capacity. It's about a month season for the non-residents, and there's only so many flights they can do a day. So like the popular ones, probably 2, maybe 3 years, a wait list, and a lot of times you'll have a group of like 4 guys, plan it and a couple years out. Next option is an airboat transporter that they can run you up the river and drop you off outside of the archery corridor, and now you have a camp and you're just further away. So those are generally how you do it. So it's a popular hunt. Well, I went up there with a buddy, an army buddy. He wanted to go on a caribou hunt, so I was helping him plan it, and eventually came around and said, "Hey man, you probably shouldn't plan that hunt on your own." He wanted to solo it, and I said, "Not a good idea. Let me go with you. I'll help you out." Now I'd never hunted up there while I was stationed there.
Okay.
So it was, it was the first official planned hunt, and I bought a freeze dryer 5 months earlier and made my own food because a passion of mine was cooking, and I, understood freeze dried, what it was, and when I found out I could buy a machine, I thought, well, that's pretty cool. Let me test this out. It was expensive.
What's something like that? I was curious. What's that cost?
It was that first machine cost about $3,500.
Okay.
So I had to justify that cost to the wife, of course, and which led to some other things. I dabbled with it, selling some freeze-dried fruits and candies at kind of farmer market type deal, just to pay it off. But the main intent was to take my own food into the backcountry. So unbeknownst to me, that 3 years ago, that was the start of what's now Backcountry Bistro. But the story on that hunt is pretty epic. So
I can't wait.
All right, so this tundra, it really does sucks ass. And the way I describe it to folks is, imagine if you took an old, those McDonald's ball pits.
Yes,
the old ones. Yeah, so take one of those, but like fill it with bowling balls, basketballs. Get a waterbed and 6 inches of shag carpet. Combine all that together and walk on it, and that's what it's like walking on the tundra. It's pretty damn miserable.
Yeah.
So you're really hoping that the caribou are close to the road. You and every other hunter out there, driving up and down that highway.
Let me ask you. So I have in my mind what I see here, and like when people think of tundra, they think of just flat, nothing else out there. Is there much for cover? Because we're thinking archery hunting. Are there rolling hills? Is there any cover?
There are hills. Yes, there is. That's what surprises me. There is elevation. It's called the North Slope. There is elevation. The further north you get, the flatter it gets. Kind of the wetter it gets, but there is elevation, but there's not much for hiding or cover. The tallest stuff you may find out there, depending on what part you're at. If you're closer to the mountains, something a little taller, but you're not finding any trees. You're really talking about like thickets at river bottoms. But where we were hunting, waist high. The tallest. So it's not that simple to get with an archery range of these caribou. And first you got to locate them. So that was the beginning of the hunt. We got there, we started driving, and we're glassing up bulls. And my buddy immediately spots one off to the right side of the highway, 2 miles out. He's excited. He's never been up there. He's like, "Dude, let's go. Let's hike out there. We could just cross that river." And I'm like, "Nah, man. Like, I don't think you understand. Like, it's gonna take us like five or 6 hours to get over there." He's like, "That's not that far." And I was like, "You'll see." And I was like, "He's gonna be gone by the time we get there." And by the time we were like talking back and forth, he looks over and that bull had already moved like a mile. And he said, okay, I see what you're talking about. And I was like, yeah. I was like, but now we see, if one's walking, maybe another one walks. Caribou, they imprint their scent when they walk, and that's how, like, in bad weather, fog, rain, snow, they can still kind of pick up the tracks of the other caribou migrating.
Because
they move
like ants,
something like,
right?
Yeah,
ants leave like a little chemtrail.
They move
That's
something like
I had no idea.
30 miles a day, 30, 50 miles a day is what
Wow.
What I recall, what I've read. So they're constantly moving,
Okay.
And this is a large swath of land that you're hunting. So, the little tiny bow hunter on the road that has like 5-mile corridor to hunt in. And when you look at how big the area this is, you see how it's not that simple. So the town of Dead Horse is at the north end of the highway. A couple days into the hunt, we just drove up there, see what's going on. It's just a working town, oil town. You can fuel up on gas there, very expensive, and get a bite to eat, kind of a little cafeteria. You can even get a shower there at the hotel, like $20 for a 30-minute shower. So you can get a nice reset. You can get a coffee, and there's that's where all the big bulls hide out because you can't hunt them in there. And it's
right.
It's something like a 20-mile buffer area of the town, the oil pads before the hunting zone starts, and then the hunting zone, you got the archery corridor there. So, but we're like day 3 in the hunt, and we reset, and we're driving out, and we hit like right when it opens, and there's this big old bull like right off to the left side of the road, and my buddy's like, dude, this bull. So we stopped the truck real quick. Well, these workers, I think they were on the clock because they're in the work truck, and this is a big bull, man.
Yeah.
So I get it. So one of them hopped out with the bow, and I could tell they made a bad shot, just like in the hind leg. You could see the blood coming down, but it wasn't like anything fatal. It didn't have an arrow stuck in it, nothing. So the caribou was just sitting out there. So these guys are trying to make another stalk on it. So I dropped my buddy off to, because I'm like, hey, this boo's gonna run in one direction, and at this point it's like, yeah, whoever gets it gets it. And
yeah.
So
you want to put it down either way. That's the ethical thing to do, right?
So I put my buddy down. I leave him there, and then I go to drive to the other side and get ready. And then that caribou ends up turning around and running towards the river, and hops into the river and swims across to this island in the middle of the Sag River. It's a pretty big, rapid river. And then it beds down. The thing with the caribou, when it beds down, because there's not a lot of cover, you can see their antlers. They're like a satellite dish. So it's pretty easy to spot them. So we think this bull is injured. He just swam across the water and hit this island. And those workers scurried to their truck and left. So now my buddy and I are like, hey, we're going to go after that bull now. And I was like, he's injured. I don't think that, because the opposite side of that island it looks a lot deeper and a lot like rougher water. And I was like, there's no way that caribou ain't going anywhere. So we had this, we bought this inflatable raft, like an Intex raft you get at Walmart on the marketplace in Fairbanks before we leave town. And so we had this idea, we're going to raft across this river. And we're sitting there trying to pump this thing up with a foot pump for like 30 minutes. And it's just not like pumping up. It's like we're fighting something. Like we don't know what's going on. So, so we finally, we're doing everything. We get enough air in it. So we go and put it in the water real quick for a float test. And it's like losing water. But we find where there's a little leak. So I repair it with this little patch kit I have, duct tape and super glue. We get it in order. The whole time, 2 hours have passed. So at this point, we look up, and I was like, well, the bull's still there. So that's good.
Yeah.
So we have to shoot across like 20 meters of river, 20 yards of river. And it's pretty rapid. So we put in pretty far up above this island. And we throw in and start floating. We're just spinning around. We have these paddles, cheap paddles, man. We have these cheap paddles, man. We're just spinning around. We get into the gravel bar in the middle. Like, we recover. We shoot across. We hit this island, the sandy part of this island, about half a mile down from where we put in. Like, literally land on this island like we're Navy SEALs. because there's not much cover. So we're like on our knees dragging the raft onto the beach with our bows in our other hand. And Tyler, he's like 6'4", and I'm 5'7", so I'm good, right? But he's like very awkward. And he looks up, and he looks up. He's right there. The bull's right there, and we're like 70 yards from this bull, and the wind's in our face, and it's like, okay, and now what do we do? So, he's in the Army. We're both like Army guys, so we set up a little plan. He goes to the left, I go to the right, and we're converging on this bull, and literally low crawling in these shrubs that are getting smaller and smaller and smaller until they run out. And I'm like, okay, I can't do this anymore. And I'm like 50 yards away from this bull. And I'm looking over and I can see him crawling over there, and he's probably like 60 yards from it. And I'm like, all right, someone's going to get a good shot. This bull is probably going to stand up, time to get ready. And as I was getting ready, guess what happens? Of course, the wind shifts, right? And that bull stands up, and I'm like, he's like injured, and he's like the backside of this island is like 6 or 8 feet, and that's the river that's flowing a lot harder on the other side. And I'm like, oh, he's dead to right. So I just stand up and I get ready with my bow, and he looks at me, looks at my buddy, turns around, and he literally jumps off this island into that river and swims across it, like. Gets on the other side of the river on the tundra, and we watch him run off for about a mile and a half. Like he obviously wasn't that injured, like and we were in shock, but it was like, I don't know, 55, 60 yards. I was like the first stock on a bull, and on this cheap inflatable raft. So now adrenaline's pumping. It's like 11 o'clock at night at this point, but it's in August that far north in Alaska. You virtually have 24 hours of daylight. So now we got to figure out how to get back, and basically we have to like shoot across again and end up another half mile down and walk the raft all the way back to the truck. The repair held, and it was a fun stock. And my buddy, he forgot to turn his GoPro on, so we didn't get it on video, which would have been pretty epic. But definitely super memorable part of the hunt, and that got us pretty amped up for the remainder of the hunt. We had another 10 days or so. So next couple days, we're just going through the road, trying to find bulls.
For some people, the outdoors is a hobby. For others, it's a lifestyle. Torque wheels are built for the ones who chase sunrise on the water, track game through the timber, and spend weekends towing boats, campers, and ATVs to the next adventure. With a full lineup of wheel sizes and fitments for trucks, SUVs, vans, trailers, and RVs, Torque wheels are made to match your lifestyle and your rig. Wherever you go, whatever you haul, visit torquewheels.com to find a retailer near you.
Planning a fishing trip shouldn't feel like a full-time job. With FishingBooker.com, you can find and book the perfect fishing trip within minutes. FishingBooker.com connects you with trusted fishing captains around the world. Booking is fast, easy, and secure, with access to verified customer reviews, loyalty rewards, and around-the-clock customer support. Everything you need to book with confidence is in one place. So head to FishingBooker.com and start planning your next fishing adventure today.
When the hunt matters, trust the gear that's built to perform. At Scree Gear, we design premium hunting apparel that keeps you comfortable, concealed, and ready for whatever the mountain throws your way. From early season spot and stalk hunts to late season extremes, Scree Gear is trusted by hunters who refuse to compromise. And if you want to sharpen your skills and follow real hunting adventures, watch Scree TV on Waypoint TV. Visit ScreeGear.com to gear up today. Then catch Scree TV on Waypoint TV and experience the hunt like never before.
We finally spot one about 2 miles away, and there hadn't been many bull sightings in the last 2-3 days. And the road hunters, as soon as someone stops and pulls out their binos, man, they everyone's like, they converge on you. You still got like 180 miles of highway, but there's enough traffic here and there that if one person stops, someone else will. So we stopped real quick, immediately got out, and got our packs ready, and got them on. And, sure enough, someone stops. It's like, you guys see something? It's like, yeah, out there. And we take off and start walking. Because once you start walking the tundra and you get 2 minutes ahead of someone, like they're not really catching up. Because it's so grueling. So we started headed towards this bull, and maybe a quarter of the mile away from the truck, and I realized, dang, I left my release in the truck.
Oh,
I was like, all right, man. I was like, all right, whatever. Dude. I was like, I'm not turning back at this point.
You're like, you're the shooter.
I was like, Tyler, you're up, dude. So we walked to within like 800 yards of this bull and sit down in like a little puddle in the tundra. And he's bedded on a kind of a hill. So we're like at the bottom of this, and he's about 800 yards away. And now it's like, well, what do you do? We have a bow. Like we can't walk straight at him. He's going to know if something's up. He's going to pop over that ridge. Done. We're sitting there glassing him up, making sure it is a bull, because the cows have antlers up there. Caribou have cow have antlers. Confirm it's a bull, and we're sitting there trying to make a play.
Is there anything obvious besides the obvious parts? Is there anything like characteristically that delineates
really the racks are a lot bigger. Like when you see a couple cows and you see a couple bulls, you'll see like they get these shovels. They look like big like cans, up above them. The cows won't really get that. They won't really have too much tines or stuff coming off them that like they can. But when you see them compare with bulls, dead gear, the ass is a little different. The Alaska regulations does a really good job of it. And then, of course, a bull, if you see like a piss stain on it, and if it's a later season, like their manes get like real on the bulls, they get like real thick and kind of white. But really, if it's a giant rack, and that's what people want, like it's a bull. So if you could see the rack from the highway 2 miles away, I'd reckon it's a bull. Without binos. But this guy wasn't even huge, but we definitely like could see the rack 2 miles out. And, we
by the time you're in archery range, you can see all the important bits to verify.
Yeah. So it kind of sucks. You got to walk out that far just to get to see and hope you get an opportunity for the stock.
Yeah. Okay.
So
all right.
Now, well, I don't know what to do. I tell Tyler, I'm like, well, I saw like I think on Meat Eater I read somewhere that if you pulled out a white game bag that you may like be able to decoy in a caribou, especially a younger bull. Tyler's like, nah, there's no way that's going to work. I was like, well, what else are we going to do? So I pull out a game bag, I put on a walking stick and hold it up like a surrender flag. And that bull actually it gets his attention. He stands up. And I'm like, you got to be shitting me. And he stands up and he looks our way, but then he beds back down. So I was like, well, he knows we're here. Maybe he'll get up soon and come this way. So we sat there for a while until Tyler couldn't handle it anymore. So I'm like, all right, well, we can't walk straight at him. Wind's kind of in our face. So let's walk at an angle away from him, like towards him, but to the left. Keep downwind. You walk in front of me. I was like, I'll leave my pack and my bow here. I don't have a release. And I'll walk behind you. You have your pack on and have your bow in front of you like a rack. And we have walking sticks, and I'll have the bag with me, and we'll just act like a caribou. So we start walking, and sure enough, he stands up, and he starts walking towards us, and I couldn't believe it. So we just start like walking, and this whole ordeal lasts for almost 2 hours. But he does end up kind of like a pie, meeting at the end of the tip of a pie, kind of angling into each other. So it ends up happening, and I'm like, no way. He thinks we're a caribou. He really does. They're herd animals, a young bull by himself. I guess their vision's not the best. And if they think you're a caribou, if you're moving through, they're going to, maybe keep their distance, but they're curious enough to follow. And so this is going on for like 2 hours, and he finally starts breaking 100 yards. And I'm sitting there getting ready to record, and, Tyler, get ready. And he finally has a chance to make a shot. It's super windy out in the tundra. So his arrow hits far back and clips like the back of the leg. Kind of similar to like what happened to the other caribou we saw. And we're like, oh no. He takes off running, stops, and he ends up coming back in. So like it takes like another 20 minutes. But the same song and dance. Yeah. And I'm just like, you gotta be shitting me. And so Tyler like rears up to shoot again, and this time misses because he misranged it. And that's actually a big problem on the tundra. Good, it is so like flat, and everything looks the same. And if there's like a little bit of an incline, you know, and you're trying to range, just like anything off because the color, it could like shoot it off, and you don't even know it. Because everything kind of like looks exactly the same. It's like you're looking at a wall almost. So
interesting.
So for some reason, he's got he just has 3 arrows. So he's on his last arrow, and I'm like, you got to make this one count, man. And so we end up getting him back in to like 55, and Tyler takes a shot, and everything looks great on the shot. And he takes the buoy takes off running up and over the ridge, and Tyler's like, oh, it was a gut shot, and you know, of course, no bow hunter wants to go through that. So now we're thinking about options, and I'm like, well, pull up Onyx, and it looked like there was a water feature on the backside of that ridge at the bottom. I said, if he's got shot, he's going to go down there and rest. So he wanted to go get his rifle, walk back 2 miles, get the rifle, walk back, and then try to bump him out to 5 miles, and then just finish him off. And I said, dude, that's going to take forever. I was like, what kind of release do you have? So I looked at his release. I was like, all right, this will work. I was like, let's go back to our pack. Let me get my bow, man. And if he's down there, let's do this again, man. And so it takes us a while to get, like 45 minutes just to get back to our packs. So we get back, get my bow. We climb to the top of the ridge, and we start glassing. Tyler's like, I don't see him. I was like, dude, relax. We just got up here. Let's eat some food. I'll warm something up, and then we'll like look. And then he's like, no, I found him. And I was like, really? And sure enough, he's down there at the water, and you can see it like satellite dish. That's the only thing sticking out like a sore thumb, his rack. And I was like, okay. I was like, we can't do the same game. He knows at this point. I was like, so we're like watching him, and I'm like, yeah, he keeps turning his head and like looking around like constantly. I was like, let's play red light, green light. We were, I was wearing like I was wearing my Sitka green, and Tyler's wearing his army uniform. So we're blending in perfectly with the tundra, coming down with the wind in our face with now the backdrop. So we really are like, I'm thinking, okay, I think we can get really close to this dude, and until he notices, because with the wind, like we'd have to be pretty close for him to hear us or see us. And sure enough, when he was looking in one direction, we kind of scurried. As soon as he would like turn, we'd freeze. And I swear, man,
very kindergarten of you, man. That's awesome.
I know. Well, it worked because we ended up getting back down to that caribou. And I ended up getting within 10 yards of him and finishing him off.
You got within 10 yards of the caribou.
Yeah, because once I got down to the water, he was like kind of bedded down. So then he was like kind of below. So it was just his rack above. I'll shoot you the video after this for you to see it because Tyler recorded it. It's pretty nuts. But you can just see his rack like above this, like whatever the willow or the bush. I don't know what the bushes are.
So it wasn't red light, green light to 10 yards. It was red light, green light until you had some cover, and then you were able to get to 10.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's
I was like, that's some gnarly red light, green light, Don.
Yeah. And
that's awesome, though.
That never would work on an elk. It wouldn't work on a whitetail. But
so I
might
guess
work
that,
on a caribou.
Yeah, so you didn't have a shot at like 15 yards, and you didn't have a shot at 20 yards. You had to get to 10.
Yeah, well, I did have a shot at 40, but it was the same problem with the wind. Okay. So we were trying to like hurry up and finish the job because we'd been out there a while, and I was just going to see how close I could get. Because in my experience, when they stand up, they come almost like a mule deer. They just like look at you. They don't immediately run off like whitetail or something. So if you were to get up, I could easily knock back and get ready. And a big bull, you probably wouldn't be able to get away with that. But it's kind of a team kill. It's pretty sweet. You know, we lost a couple arrows in the tundra. You know, we were like, man, you know, 1,000, 2,000 years. Imagine someone digging up like our carbon arrows, and you know, with our expandable broadheads, and like, what the hell is this? You know? And then you know, then the actual work began. We had to pack them out. The weather started turning. We were just finishing up the butcher job, and we look up, and there's literally another caribou about 70 yards away, another bull just staring at us. Came out of nowhere, and like, Tyler doesn't have arrows. I have my tag filled. Like, tough shit, man. Like, he's way taller than me. He can't shoot my bow. So
yeah,
it was just it was one of those, like, of course, you know. And then the whole from the point we spotted him to getting back to the truck, it took 9 hours, and we had walked 6.2 tundra miles. Yeah, it was a lot, you know. But, like, you know, for like a little bit there, for like 2 hours of that, we were like we were like in a herd with that caribou. It's pretty crazy. I don't think we'll ever be able to recreate that. So that's a pretty special hunt, and to get it done with the bow was pretty awesome to do in that manner. And I had my meal. I fed us on that hunt pretty well. After I got that hunt, that bull, like day 5, it's around day 7 we hiked. We hiked like 7 miles in to get into the rifle zone, and we hunted hard for a week for Tyler's bull. Yeah, we were able to get to some elevation where we hiked that far out, and at one point we were like 13 miles away from the highway and could glass like 30-40 miles out. You know, we didn't see a bull. We didn't see anything. No caribou for a week.
That's crazy.
So,
got to feel pretty lucky that you did get what you got, though.
Exactly. You know, the caribou are either there, they're not there. You know, so I was just up there last week. I went out for a couple days to help a buddy's operation out. So earlier I mentioned the plane and then the airboat. Well, my buddy just launched an operation up there that's kind of changing the game. So he's renting these solar inflatable rafts with some jet motors on them.
Okay.
And renting them to DIY hunters just as a rental. So you have to meet him there. You pick it up. You know, he can't tell you where to go. Can't give you any advice. None of that. He's not a transporter. He's not moving you. He can't meet you in the field. But it's, you know, compared to the other options, it's very reasonably priced. His is $4,500 for the week, and you can actually run 3 guys on that boat. And the airboat is $3,600 for a person. So, you know, you can actually make it work. And the airboat allows you to be mobile too. As long as you have the experience, can read the rivers, and there's enough water, you can navigate pretty far. So it's a lot of country. So it's definitely an advantage. I went up there to take some meals up to help him with operation and for some marketing. We were getting him into the hands of some guys, some of his clients going out to the field. And, you know, I got to talk to them, got some awesome feedback. And at least the week I was there, 6 of his 10 runners pulled out bulls. And I didn't see any of the other like outfits pulling bulls out. So definitely, for your listeners, if anyone wants to do a caribou hunt, I'm telling you, Cody with AK Venture Rentals, and I could get you in contact. I got his info, but I have a feeling he's going to be booked out in the future. So I was happy to go back up there. So it's kind of full circle moment going because he's active duty Army, and he's Army logistics guy, and he's a Ranger, Army Ranger, but he's in logistics. I did logistics in the Army, so funny enough, you know, I took a bunch of Backcountry Bistro, or BCBs, as I would like to call them, you know, like a spin-off of an MRE, and put them in a duffel bag and flew up there and resupplied them with a bunch of meals and got some out to guys going out. And then we ran his boats. You know, we were also testing his stuff and got to do a little bit of marketing for both of our brands, test some of my meals out there. So that's one thing with my product is I do the menu development, the recipe development. I cook it, I freeze dry it, I package it, and then I field test it. And it, you know, if I wouldn't take it to the field, if I wouldn't feed it to my family, I wouldn't sell it. So I don't get to do enough of that. It's just been a pretty crazy last year and a half between this and the big, you know, family move. We just my third daughter just turned a month old, so I got a 4-year-old, 2-year-old, and 1 month old. So,
a month, you're in the thick of it. I got a 10-month-old, or excuse me, 9-month-old, and it's
awesome.
Tough.
So
but he's teething fun right now. But,
oh man, that's awful. Yeah, I feel for you there.
Oh man. Okay, so a couple questions.
Sure.
Your caribou hunt. That's where BCB started. What were the menu items then? I'm sure you've refined them since then, but what did you take with you into the field then?
So the biggest difference was that I was taking mountain harvest. I had a lot of whitetail, so and with freeze drying, freeze drying removes water, so you can't remove fat. So you have to work with lean stuff. Chicken is lean, or just use like lean beef.
Okay.
Well, wild game is pretty lean, so that's kind of how it started. I used my stuff that I processed myself into my own recipes. So I did a Texas chili that's been on the menu. Wasn't this go around, but it will come back because some folks are a little upset that it didn't come back. But in my defense, I did what I could to push out what I could with a very short timeline with the baby and the move. And, like I said, I'm just about sold out again. So I'm at least trying to get the meals out to who I can ahead of the hunting seasons. At least while we scale, I'd like folks to, even if they can get 1 or 2 meals, it's definitely helping propel the business and get the word out. And I promise you'll be pleasantly surprised with with it. I've gotten, I don't know how many clients at this point, but it's pretty sweet. It's pretty sweet to see, all the feedback come in and the repeat customers and them recommending me to other folks and getting tagged on forums. So now I'm ready to kind of take it big. That's a Texas Red Turkey Chili is what I called it. I did a goulash for myself. I did try to do, but it wasn't great. The feedback wasn't great. It was just like, sometimes the stuff doesn't rehydrate the same or properly.
Yeah.
So that's part of like kind of the art of it. It's like, hey, I know I can make this taste good, but if it looks like slop, it looks like a bag of shit, it's going to not be appetizing. So, I work hard with figuring out what freeze dries well, meaning does it rehydrate good on the back end. So, red beans and rice.
Love it.
On my menu.
You are from Galveston.
I had just some basics too. My spaghetti, my chicken Alfredos, but I'm making my own sauces, and I'm part Italian, so I know what I'm doing in that department. And,
got it.
And so Bud just did a little bit of everything, honestly. And as I started this thing, that was the first challenge. It's all right. Now I need to create these recipes with like store-bought ingredients, and then start realizing how expensive it is to actually get quality lean stuff. 90/10 is really expensive. I was in Kentucky, and I was sourcing ground, 90/10 ground round beef for $6.09 a pound. Now in Washington, to get something the same quality is like $10 a pound. It's definitely difficult on the business side of things. I have to justify its cost increase, and I'm trying to use clean ingredients, and everyone knows stuff's expensive. But I finally, realized I'm not competing with Mountain House or Peak. What I'm doing is special, a small batch, and like I said, they're all recipes formulated by me, used by me. They're getting the real test. And from the feedback, I've had hunters of all skill levels, bringing feedback. But the guys that really are like, doing 10, 12 miles a day, high elevation up for 30 days elk season. I have a couple of those guys, and the feedback is great. And I do use the customer feedback to kind of shape, if it needs a little bit more or they want a different flavor or whatever. So I've actively been shaping it. So that's been the fun part about it. As we scale, I kind of got to DCL a little bit and stabilize a couple things to grow. But if I could do what I wanted, I'd have about 60 different menu items. So we'll get there, and I don't want to get bored making the same things, but right now, what I just had on the recent drop was 5 breakfasts, 5 dinner options. So
that's awesome, man.
Enough to have variety for a week.
Yeah. Have you looked into like what the costs are when you go back to Alaska, man? Is this like something that you're gonna try and make work up there? Because like you're just making it harder on yourself, but I'm sure you can make it work. But have you looked into that yet?
I have. So I do have a little bit of not a superpower, but that little piece of paper right there doesn't really mean much to a lot of people. But I used my GI Bill when I got out of the Army to get an MBA. So that's kind of how this evolved into a business, honestly, because I didn't get an MBA to do anything other than just take a break after the Army and figure out what direction I wanted to go in. And then, like I said, I wanted to help pay off my machine. And through some classes, I kind of made it a project. And I literally a Facebook post, October of 2024, garnered so much attention that I sold.
For some people, the outdoors is a hobby. For others, it's a lifestyle. Torque wheels are built for the ones who chase sunrise on the water, track game through the timber, and spend weekends towing boats, campers, and ATVs to the next adventure. With a full lineup of wheel sizes and fitments for trucks, SUVs, vans, trailers, and RVs, Torque wheels are made to match your lifestyle and your rig. Wherever you go, whatever you haul, visit torquewheels.com to find a retailer near you.
Planning a fishing trip shouldn't feel like a full-time job. With FishingBooker.com, you can find and book the perfect fishing trip within minutes. FishingBooker.com connects you with trusted fishing captains around the world. Booking is fast, easy, and secure, with access to verified customer reviews, loyalty rewards, and around-the-clock customer support. Everything you need to book with confidence is in one place. So head to FishingBooker.com and start planning your next fishing adventure today.
When the hunt matters, trust the gear that's built to perform. At Scree Gear, we design premium hunting apparel that keeps you comfortable, concealed, and ready for whatever the mountain throws your way. From early season spot and stalk hunts to late season extremes, Scree Gear is trusted by hunters who refuse to compromise. And if you want to sharpen your skills and follow real hunting adventures, watch Scree TV on Waypoint TV. Visit ScreeGear.com to gear up today. Then catch Scree TV on Waypoint TV and experience the hunt like never before.
Yeah, I made like $1,500 in 48 hours. It took me 2 months to make that. And I was like, well, that just paid off half my machine. Maybe a month something. The feedback started coming in. And so as I was going through the MBA, obviously I started learning a lot more about business, making relationships, blah, blah, blah. So the biggest challenge is always going to be that my wife was in the Army. Active duty. It means we're on a timeline. Every 3 years we're moving. So I managed this past move very well, doing the pre-order and getting ahead of that demand while still being able to get some stuff knocked out when I got on ground. But at the same time, figuring out my new supply chain and everything. And we have maybe 4 years here in Washington. And then maybe we move to Alaska, but we for sure will be there in 6 years. So absolutely, I've thought about that. Just like I've thought about how am I going to scale in Washington if I'm not living here long term, because it's also very expensive here. So the question lies in that piece of paper over there. That's where the boring stuff is coming into play. I'm very particular in my brand, my quality. So I have a lot of things that I have to do before I scale up, and I will be scaling with it to a certain point. But my goal is in a couple of years to either have someone managing it, because I cannot be the one in the kitchen and running a business where I believe this is going to go. And I have to remove myself. But in the meantime, I'm doing my due diligence to scale this properly to make it easy to maintain quality. So I don't know what that looks like yet. It could be that maybe I have someone. There are companies out there that'll do it for you, and a lot of companies do that. The co-packagers. Here's my recipe. Just make it for me. There's a lot of risk with that, of course. Quality control. So that's what I need to bridge the gap to that and make sure that happens flawlessly. And it's not going to happen overnight, but that's how I'm going to grow. And I'm big on transparency and being authentic. And if you look at my socials, you'll see all that. And I'm I've learned to just kind of put it out there. Hey, this is what we're doing. So, folks that are following me are kind of seeing the build up, and we're like so small now, but they're understanding, it's a family business, veteran owned. There are challenges, but I'm not going to sacrifice my values to
It's good to hear.
Scale this overnight, but I do want to scale this, and I think I can make this, this brand pretty big. And at some point, Alaska is not the place for it, and neither is Washington. I don't know where the place for it is, but for right now, my goal is to continue to produce tasty meals and try to get them into as many packs as I can.
Okay. So. I have one more question before I want to hear another hunting story, and this is on brand with my podcast, and it's a lowbrow question, but I know that when it comes to freeze-dried meals, and I have not had yours yet, sir, but I will be getting some because I'm excited about it. But you never like to hike behind your buddy who's had freeze-dried meals, if you know what I mean.
Oh, yeah.
does yours have that same thing? Is that just a nature of freeze-dried food? Or do yours save you from the backcountry toots? Is basically what I'm saying.
Yeah. So from, the feedback I get and from personal use, you should be on your normal schedule aside from introducing new foods into your diet you normally don't eat. I can't really speak for what other competitors are, put in their stuff, but if you go read ingredients lists, it'll tell you most of what you need to know. One thing I have noticed, and this is a discussion that just came up with an MBA buddy of mine, was he told me that you need to advertise that you don't use seed oils because a lot of people don't like seed oils and want to get away from seed oils. And we started going down the rabbit hole and looking at just about everyone, and it's almost like clockwork. Everyone is using some form or sort of seed oil. And I don't, because that's not how I cook. I'm making these meals how I cook, and I use olive oil and real butter. So remember when I said fats don't freeze dry well, because you need to take the water out. So I'm not the prepper market. I'm not telling you that my meals are going to last 25 years, and I haven't been doing it that long, so I can't tell you it's lasting that long. I have altered my cooking methods to include, basically make these meals tasty without what I call fillers and crap, and additives, MSG, outside of just like what normal ingredients I can source, within reason. And trust me, I get the best that I can get, within reason. And I'm not using just industrial stuff. I'm at least for right now, we're cracking the eggs for the breakfast scrambles. I'm not using already freeze-dried eggs to make eggs and then freeze-drying it again. So everything I'm doing is how I cook for my family, and it's pretty natural. So I don't know. This is a discussion him and I were having. Maybe the abundance of seed oils cause that. I still think it's the other preservatives and stuff.
I feel like they were throwing in extra protein, because it's they're getting massive amounts of protein in some of these little bags, and I'm like, I don't know what it is, but I don't know anyone in the world who can't have one of them meals and not just rip ass the rest of the day. And so I have 2 or 3 days of those, and I'm just like, what else can I do? And sometimes I'll skip them, but I need the energy, right? I'm going 10, 12 miles a day. I need something in my belly. That's what I found with a lot of people. I just can't do it.
Skip meals because they don't taste good, or their gut's not agreeing with them, and that's not good. You need to be in tip-top shape. The other thing is, look, everyone's got a budget, and everyone chooses where to spend their dollars. And I don't really care where you do it. It's a free country. Spend your money how you want it. But all I'm saying is that those serious guys that spend their whole year prepping for that outcome for those 2 weeks. Why for 2 weeks are you going to sacrifice what you're putting in your body? I'm sorry, my meals may cost a little bit more, but they're not. It's not bullshit. And it's something I've just noticed, and it's not a big deal. I don't care one way or another. Some guys don't really care what they eat. But the way I look at it is, if you're prepping the whole year to be tip top for 2 weeks and to refill your freezer with some of the best protein on the planet, why? You should maybe take a little bit more care. Or be a little bit more 100%. Conscious about what you're putting in your body when you need it the most. You're training like an athlete. You need to fuel your body properly. And I'm not claiming I have the best, most balanced macros or perfect superfoods. I'm doing what works for me, and it seems to be working for a lot of other hunters. And the people are they're speaking it into existence because, I didn't wake up one day and say, I'm going to start a freeze-dried meal company. Started because I sold a couple meals and the feedback was overwhelming. And I came up with a brand, and now enough people like it that
I love it.
I'm getting invited on podcasts. I'm sending out boxes to some big names. I've got some backing from some big names. So it's just, I need to do my due diligence to scale this up and maintain my quality and the values that I have. And maybe that means it's going to be a slower takeoff than I would like. But I'd rather do it right the first time than rush to failure.
Yeah. Well, Don, I'll tell you this. That was a really eloquent and beautiful answer to "Will your food make you toot?" So thank you. But man, I'm excited. I'm going to test some this season. I've got an elk hunt, a mule deer hunt. I'm doing some like really low impact stuff with my son. But my big hunts, count me in. Well, do you have inventory? I guess that's my next question.
Yeah.
Like,
so
can
right
I even
now,
get some?
yeah, I have 2 things in stock. I have one breakfast and one dinner, and the breakfast is my chorizo, egg, and cheese.
Love it.
All right, so this is a fan favorite, and so every meal I make has a story, but my website doesn't have all this yet. I'm a one-man show. I've made my website. I make the food. I go out and hunt myself. I'm just now starting my social media presence, so it's obviously we're getting to a point if I scale this thing. I'm going to have to grow a team and hopefully be able to push more stuff out. But everything has a story, and it'll all come out. And that's what follow along the journey, and it'll start coming out. Not all of them, but like a few of these started around a hunt. Maybe we could do a hunting story around this.
Let's do it.
But so big duck hunter. That's how I started duck hunting, and so I used to. I just get hungry, man, and I've learned, I don't eat first thing in the morning, so I'm not the guy like stopping at the gas station and getting a burrito or whatever, like maybe a coffee, but I just like I don't really eat in the morning. I get hungry a little later, but then I get like real hungry. So if I'm on a hunt or in a blind, sometimes it can just be too much for me. So I just bring my own food, and I used to just bring snacks or whatever. But I'm also the type of guy that I like to share, and I feel bad if I bring something I don't have enough for everyone. So I started doing breakfast. I started doing breakfast tacos, and I started bringing breakfast tacos to the blind. It just started with some simple, breakfast sausage and eggs and tortilla, and which then evolved as I processed my own game. I found a pretty good chorizo seasoning for breakfast sausage. So then I started making chorizo, egg and cheese, breakfast sausage. Being from Texas, folks from Texas, you've been around Texas, everyone knows chorizo, egg and cheese, breakfast taco just hits. It hits real good in the duck blind, especially when it's cold. So, and with wild game, it was much leaner. So naturally, that was one of the candidates that I freeze dried early on when I was doing my breakfast. And anyone who's had freeze dry eggs know they just suck. They're horrible. Mine aren't that bad, and I don't like freeze dried eggs, and I still don't eat much breakfast. But these, I crack the eggs. They're usually sourced from a farm, and I've found that if I just cook them about 90% of the way, when you put the hot water in there to rehydrate, like you're kind of already cooking it. So that may be part of the reason why, like, I don't know, in the industry, the eggs suck. So one, as long as you don't, because you could really like overhydrate eggs really easily. So as long as you don't overhydrate it, it's pretty good. Well, I like, I tell people, hey, put it on a tortilla, because some guys bring tortillas into the backcountry anyways, Nutella or honey. But 100 calories for a tortilla. So now you can make 2 breakfast tacos and add 200 calories to this. Now this breakfast in particular.
That's such a good idea, by the way. Just bring a couple tortillas and throw that in there. I love that.
Oh yeah.
Okay. I'm getting excited to go eat in the woods. All right.
Yeah, right. Exactly. You should. So, but this breakfast is actually like one of my heavy hitters. When we're not now we're talking about backcountry nutrition. This one in particular is 3.5 ounces dry, not including the bag. A lot of guys will just remove the food from the bag to cut down weight, but dry weight is 3.5 ounces, and you get 730 calories out of it. And
hold on a second. They remove it from the bag. What the hell do they do with it? Like, do they just put it in their pockets?
I've learned this from some clients. No, they'll put them in Ziploc bags, and they'll keep like one bag, and they'll just like rehydrate all their food in the one bag. These are the guys that are like really going to the mountains for like 2 weeks at a time and trying to, really count the ounces.
Yeah. If I was counting the ounces, I'd be skinnier, so I ain't worried about that kind of stuff.
So 720 calories at 3.5 ounces, and this says 44 grams of protein. It is stout.
Yeah.
One of the leading competitors is it's more than an ounce more, over an ounce heavier and less calories. And it doesn't taste anywhere near as good. And it's the same price. Yeah. So this has been a heavy hitter. and it derived from, bringing them to the duck blinds. And I don't have a crazy story about this, but just a funny story. When I was so I got a lab. She's sleeping right here. She's a bird dog, and I had a great mentor out in Virginia who taught me, how to train a bird dog. And I would bring her on hunts, and it was the first dog I trained, so I was getting real excited, about training the dog. And I would send him videos, and when I went through like force fetch, which is just where like you tell a dog to fetch something up and they fetch it up. Doesn't matter what it is, they need to fetch it up. I started sending him videos of like her fetching anything up, and he was getting on me. He's like, "What are you doing?" And she's like carrying a bucket, and I was like, "I'm practicing force fetch." And he said, "You're gonna regret that when she brings you back a stick instead of a bird." And I said, "Well, Mike, we're going to have to shoot some birds before we can test that theory now." He got all bent out of shape because it was just a terrible waterfowl season. So, when she's hunting, I bring her out one time, and we have breakfast.
For those
tacos.
listening, he's not peeing; he's pouring some wine.
Yeah, I'm sure that sounded sketch. So here comes Aurora with a lunch. I give her the lunchbox with all the breakfast tacos in there. And I have her fetch it up. So I'm bringing like my shotgun and the decoys into the blind. Here comes Aurora running around the corner carrying a lunchbox of breakfast burritos. And so he's getting on me again, of course, because you're not supposed to have your dog fish anything up other than like a bird or a bumper in a training setting. And, I'm just having fun with it. And I was like, you're gonna have to change that attitude if you're hungry. Cause that's breakfast.
That's awesome, man.
So that's
awesome.
in stock. The chorizo egg and cheese is in stock.
Sign me up. I'm going to buy some tortillas right now. Man, I have a hunting story it's not really a hunting story, but it's like a hunting memory that I have. One of my very first years, maybe I don't know, it might have been my first year hunting. We're in the wall tent. We're in Washington, muzzleloader season, and we're making just a whole mess of breakfast tacos. So I'm with actually a bunch of Texans. So it's 3 guys that are born and raised in Texas and myself, and we just make like 30 tacos for the whole week. And so we're doing all the prep, everything we need to do, wrapping them individually, and then we put them all in the cooler. And then every morning when we'd wake up, we'd throw that big stove, we'd light the fire, and we'd throw a bunch of tacos around the top of it. And then when we're ready to hit the road, we just grab a couple because they're all individually wrapped, throw them in our pockets, and we'd go. Yeah. So like, there's something special about a breakfast taco.
Yeah, dude, tacos on the go
in the woods, man.
Yeah. So the other meal that's in stock is one dinner, and it's the Backcountry Burrito Bowl. So same thing here. Okay, if you have tortillas already, you're adding calories.
Easy to carry.
But all right. But the Backcountry Burrito Bowl is a perfect example of how the community has brought a recipe to life.
Okay.
So I've learned to segment certain inventory for myself because last year I sold out and I hadn't counted my inventory correctly, and I ended up without any of my own meals for a hunt. And so in an emergency, I had to whip something up. So this is where I was just experimenting and threw in whatever. And one concept that I'm testing that I will eventually bring, it's just going to take some time. It's camp meals, like a meal that could feed 4 guys. Now, from a duck blind to the tailgate of a truck. So back to the chorizo, egg, and cheese. Now, like maybe an outfitter or a guide gets a big bag of this, and he can hydrate in the blind and have a dozen breakfast tacos for the crew. Like, but it's freeze dried. Well, yeah, just wait till you try it. Trust me. Just trust me.
Yeah.
So
I was thinking in my head, man, of like those long metal spoons and everybody like feeding each other with one spoon. But no, that makes more sense. The tacos, that's awesome. Okay, keep going. Sorry.
So for this elk hunt we did in Idaho, I just did camp meals anyways because I told my buddies, dude, I'll bring the food. And we were going to be at a trailhead. We weren't in the backcountry per se. And I was like, all right, we got these meals and a couple like things we're going to test. So normally how it works is I make a recipe, family likes it, and I think it's going to freeze dry well. So then I look at the numbers, like, is it actually a substantial, like, backcountry meal? Now we have to play with protein and carbs, etc. And then I try to balance it out pretty good, the way I would like to eat, And then, go from there. Maybe I'll freeze dry it and test it out myself. And then beyond that, I'll maybe hand it out to a couple of select few guys. I got some ambassadors. And if it does well there, then I will release it as a test menu. And I have a test menu right now. There's one left in stock. So if you order after this, there's one breakfast test menu. That I don't know if this one will stick around because I think some people it's going to be hard to convince. But it's a grits menu.
Okay.
It's a jalapeno cheddar grits, and people don't like grits, and I get it. But these are different, and I figured I can make something to compete with biscuits and gravy that's different. There's just one left in stock. But I had a lot of guys excited about it, and a couple guys have already tried it and have really liked it. I ate it the other day in Alaska, and I thought it was way too much food. I didn't hike enough. We weren't really hiking because we were on the boats. I was like, all right, if I was day 4 in the backcountry, this is what I would want for breakfast, or after a pack out, this would be perfect. Tastes really good. The point being is that's kind of how I move through recipes, and if they do well enough on the test menu, then I'll bring it to life. So on this Idaho hunt, I brought a camp meal, and I called it something else. It was just like a taco bowl. But we had taco night in the field. We had tortillas, of course, and then we had some shredded cheese, sour cream, and I just heated it up in this giant bag. So it was all like the tortilla. It was like a meat, bean, rice mixture, and we had plates, and we had our little fire there, and I'd out camp, and we literally made tacos in the field. Well, one of my buddies, Tyler, who was on that caribou hunt, he was the first one that told me I should sell the meals. He was like, dude, you better sell these because this is my favorite meal now. And I said, dude, that was just some bullshit I threw together in the kitchen. He said, I don't care. Make this into a meal. I said, all right, I got you, dude. So that's what I did. I then turned it into a test menu and then got it out to a couple guys. And it was overwhelming support. So it's on the menu for the first time now. And it's real pinto beans, simmered. And then it's taco meat that I make. And rice, and I mix it all together, and there's some jalapeno and onion and cheese in there. It's all mixed together, so now it's a bowl, so you can eat it straight out of the pouch. It's really good, or you can throw it on a tortilla, and that's nice.
Yeah. So you make the camp ones with 4, but you also make the backcountry buddy version where there's 2, and then your buddy takes the tortillas, and then you take the backcountry buddy.
You could do that.
And there you go.
Most guys I know aren't splitting one of these meals; they're in the whole thing. But they're pretty stout, and that's just a way to extend them. Because if you look at my meals, they're really averaging 800 calories, which a lot of people think isn't enough. But it's a perception thing, and I think really it's about you look at their ingredient list, and if you got fillers, maybe you have more calories, but they're more empty calories. Your body's not processing the same. Back to what I was saying earlier, and. I've got the guy that's doing 12 miles a day, and I've got the sheep hunter that's running some meals, literally giving me personal feedback because I really want to know, hey, is it not enough for you guys? And I'm telling you, the feedback I'm getting is people, they're coming back for a reason. So I obviously don't have to change it. And even me, trying some meals the other day, I was wow, this is a lot of food. Whereas I sometimes don't think because of the numbers it is, but I believe I just have my recipes kind of locked in, dialed in, and maybe that's just my skill. I've always enjoyed cooking, but I'm not a nutritionist. Yeah. I'm not a formally trained chef.
You're Italian and Texan. That's all we need to know.
And Colombian, too. So I've got a lot of influence and a lot of these, influence and tradition will show up in some of my recipes. I've done an arroz con pollo in the past. So there's... I've done a lot. Yeah, I'm kind of reeling the menu back in now. Like I said, descale to scale up. Eventually, I hope to really change the perception that freeze-dried food doesn't have to suck. And at least that's why I think a lot of businesses they start by solving a problem, and I solved the problem for myself. Why do I have to take mediocre freeze-dried bullshit into the backcountry? I don't.
I love it, man.
So I'm going to buy a very expensive freeze dryer. that doesn't make sense financially just for like a couple hunts. But fuck it, we're gonna do it.
Yeah.
Send it full send. And now I got a couple machines, and I can't keep up with demand, and I have to scale the business. And it happened so fast because 3 years ago in Alaska, I was just running my own meals that I had made like 5 months prior, and then more than a year later, I sold a few. And I've officially had the LLC for like 14 months, but in that has been a big move and a lot of life changes. So we're really just getting started, man. So I'm really excited. I'm really motivated, and I think we're going to make some noise in the industry.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Well, let's do this. I've used up all the time that I asked of you, and so let's go ahead and share where people can find your products, your socials, etc. And then we'll have you back on, Don, because we had some great stories today, but I have a feeling you have plenty more. Also,
yeah, I have one to excite you.
Okay, a little teaser.
I drew an Alaska muskox tag, so I'm doing a muskox hunt in March. So
no way, that's
maybe
awesome.
the follow up could be post that hunt, because I'm sure that'll be epic. I might be doing it with. Well, I'm definitely going to take my bow, but I'm eyeing the long bow.
That's awesome.
I might have to make a big bang for this. I don't know. If I'm going to enter the market, then I got to enter in the big way, I think. And
yeah, dude. I'll tell you this. I've done 200 plus episodes. No one has a muskox story. So let's do it. And then I will give my honest review of your product, because I'm going to buy some as soon as we're done.
That's
here.
all I asked for too. And I know it's not for everyone, whether it's price. I've noticed, some generally with like an older population, they like more sodium, and I'm not using a lot of that crap. But that stuff, take your own hot sauce, take your own salt and pepper. That's easy additions that the individual can do. There's only so much I can do in a piece. So like I said, if it's working for me, it's working for a bunch of others. If you enjoy great food and you want to support a veteran family-owned business and a guy that's actually doing the damn thing, I'm not talking my ass. I'm doing the thing. Okay, I'm taking these meals to the field. If you email me and you don't hear back from me, chances are I'm somewhere like on a mountain,
killing a muskox.
I'm doing something, and if you recall from the beginning of this conversation, I've only been hunting about a decade, so everything is snowballing very quickly, and so I'm really like holding on with this brand. It's going to be a wild ride, and it's going to be fun.
I love it, man. I'm excited to see where this goes. You got me excited. I'm excited to try your food. Where can the people find you? Let's not forget that.
Yep. So we're easy to find, www.backcountrybistro.com.
Easy enough.
You can Google Backcountry Bistro. I'm pretty sure we pop up pretty easily. And we're on Instagram and Facebook under Backcountry Bistro.
It's a great name, by the way. Very good name.
Thank you. Backcountry Bistro Meals on Instagram. And I have a community on Facebook, Backcountry Bistro Campfire. You could also follow me on Facebook or Instagram, Don Goode. I'll be tied to the other thing. So I'm 35 and I got 3 kids. I need less social media, not more.
My goodness.
But now I have to do a lot more social media with the brand, which is fine, because I'm getting to show people a glimpse into my lifestyle. I mean, you go look at my social media, you'll see in the last 14 days, caribou hunting in Alaska, salmon fishing on the Columbia, and then fishing for albacore tuna like off the coast of Washington, and then cooking a bunch of good food and making sushi. So
I love it, dude.
I'm finally starting to put a lot of this content out there, and just be honest and authentic and transparent. We're like, hey, this is what we're doing. This is why it's taking forever, but we're growing and I'm working on it. So great things take time, and I'm excited to do it the right way. And we'll see where we're at in a year or even 6 months. I don't know.
Hell yeah. Well, to the people listening, thank you guys for listening. Go to the website, go to backcountrybistro.com and pick up whatever inventory he's got left, man, because there's not much left, and the season is right here, man. I mean, this episode from when we're recording is coming out in like 4 days, but elk season's like 2 weeks away.
Yeah, I just had some people on Facebook group asking, hey, when is this going to be back in stock? When is that going to be back in stock? Or when are you going to do restock? And I'm like, guys, I just did that. Like August 1st, I just did that. And it's not, I'm still new, so a lot of folks are finding out about me. So it's not fair. Like, you're not late just because you found out about me. So the best way that you can find out what's going on is to follow me on social.
Okay.
You can go on my website and put in my email somewhere, but I'll be honest, like, I don't think it's working right now. It's something I have to work on in the next like month or so. It's just I have to keep shifting these priorities. But the socials are the best way, and I'm starting to see it grow a little bit more. Starting to, I guess, understand the reaches further than I thought. So it's cool to see. And I'm excited to get these meals into more packs around the country. And I love hearing the stories. I love talking to clients. I'm very like accessible. My business number, it's public. It goes on my phone. You can email me. That's how I've actually like formulated some of these recipes. Talking to folks, taste preferences. You talk to enough guys, you start seeing patterns. Name another company that's doing that.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there is, but they're far and few between. So I take a lot of care and pride in what I'm doing and in the direction of this business and this brand.
Hell yeah, Don. This is awesome. I'm excited. Thank you, man, for jumping on so quickly, for sharing your stories. We're going to have you back on, I guarantee it. Let's just pencil it in right now for April, right after you get back from that muskox hunt, because I want to hear how that goes.
All right.
But, man, thank you to you listeners. Thank you guys for tuning in. Check out Backcountry Bistros. Don, thank you, man. We'll have you back on soon, man.
All right. Thanks, Michael.
All right, guys. That's it. Another couple stories in the books. Again, thank you, Don, for coming on the podcast. I really do appreciate it. To listeners, check out Backcountry Bistro. It's that simple. I know I'm going to go and I'm going to buy several of these things because I'm going into the backcountry and I'm going to need some good food there. And I'm not satisfied with what else is on the market. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. I do appreciate it. Give me a follow. If you want to tell some stories, reach out to me. Thank you guys so much. Hope you have a wonderful day. And get out there and make some stories of your own.
Planning a fishing trip shouldn't feel like a full-time job. With FishingBooker.com, you can find and book the perfect fishing trip within minutes. FishingBooker.com connects you with trusted fishing captains around the world. Booking is fast, easy, and secure, with access to verified customer reviews, loyalty rewards, and around-the-clock customer support. Everything you need to book with confidence is in one place. So head to FishingBooker.com and start planning your next fishing adventure today.
This episode is brought to you by Boat Trader, America's largest boating marketplace. Whether you're buying, selling, or upgrading, the Boat Trader app makes it easy. With the biggest selection of new and used boats from dealers and private sellers. Browse, compare, and even apply for financing. All in one place. Download the Boat Trader app and start your search today.